This is the story of a man who had everything: power, fame, $30 billion, and the envy of a nation, and yet, in just a few years, he lost it all. At his peak, Eike Batista wasn't just Brazil's richest man, he was the poster boy for a new, unstoppable economy. A man who bragged he would surpass Bill Gates and claimed a net worth north of $30 billion. But behind the private jets, the supermodels, and the flashy yachts with names like Pink Panther, Batista's empire was built on sand. And a very dangerous web of lies, fraud, and political corruption. But before we break it down, hit that subscribe button and share to loved ones, so they never miss these true stories of greed, crime, and financial collapse. This is the story of how Eike Batista went from Brazil's golden boy to its most infamous fallen tycoon, a financial scandal so colossal it shook South America, destroyed billions in investor wealth, and left a trail of ruined lives. A tale of greed, arrogance, and the dark side of emerging markets. Eike Batista's rise and fall isn't just another billionaire's cautionary tale, it's a masterclass in corporate fraud, market manipulation, and political bribery. From OGX's fake oil reserves to accusations of insider trading and bribing Rio officials, Batista's scandal reveals how one man's ambition to create Brazil's own ExxonMobil turned into one of the biggest financial collapses in Latin America's history. So how did the man who promised to make Brazil a global economic powerhouse lose everything? And why is Eike Batista's name now synonymous with fraud and betrayal in the world of business? This is not just a story of personal failure, it's about systemic corruption, reckless investors, and a country's desperate gamble on one man's ego. Stay tuned, because we're peeling back the layers of the Eike Batista scandal. And trust me, it gets uglier the deeper we dig. He didn't just lose his fortune. He lost his freedom, his reputation, and even his place in Brazilian society. This is the rise and spectacular collapse of Eike Batista, Brazil's fallen king of capitalism. Eike Furcan Batista da Silva was born in 1956 in Minas Gerais, a region known as the mining heart of Brazil. His father, Eliezer Batista, wasn't just a businessman, he was the president of Vale do Rio Doce, Brazil's mining giant, and later Minister of Mines and Energy. Growing up, Eike absorbed his father's lessons about wealth and power. But unlike Eliezer, who built his career in structured environments, Eike wanted speed, scale, and glory. When Eike's family relocated to Europe, he developed a cosmopolitan worldview. He spoke German, Portuguese, English, and Spanish fluently, an asset later in negotiations. At Germany's RWTH Aachen University, he studied metallurgical engineering. But soon, academia felt too slow. He dropped out before graduating, driven by dreams of carving his own empire. In the early 1980s, Brazil was gripped by an economic crisis, skyrocketing inflation, collapsing currency, and growing poverty. But in the Amazon, another story unfolded. A gold rush drew fortune seekers into the jungle, desperate to strike it rich. Eike seized the moment, not as a miner, but as a middleman. He created a network connecting small mining operations to wealthy gold buyers in Sao Paulo and Rio. His tactic? Leverage outdated market data to underpay miners and resell at enormous profit. It was ethically murky, but effective. By 23, Eike had turned a $500,000 investment into $6 million. This success gave him the confidence to launch EBX Group, his holding company for all future ventures. Through the 1990s and 2000s, Batista expanded into iron ore, logistics, shipbuilding, and eventually oil. Every company bore the signature X in their name. To Batista, it symbolized multiplying wealth. By 2010, he was on Forbes' list of the top 10 richest people worldwide. He declared, "I will be the richest man on earth within a decade." His public persona grew as fast as his wealth. Batista bought mansions, yachts, private jets, even a Mercedes SLR McLaren. He married supermodel Luma de Oliveira and flaunted his lifestyle on TV and in magazines. But behind the scenes, his empire was dangerously overleveraged. In 2010, Batista's OGX oil company claimed to have found $1 trillion in oil reserves. He promised production of 750,000 barrels a day. Investors poured in. OGX's market value soared to nearly $20 billion, but reality hit hard. The wells were almost dry. OGX managed only 15,000 barrels daily, a mere 2% of projections. Stock prices plummeted. Investors lost billions. Lawsuits piled up. By 2013, Batista's net worth collapsed from $30 billion to negative $1 billion. It was the largest wealth destruction in modern history. While Batista's financial empire crumbled, Brazil was rocked by Operation Car Wash, also known as Lava Jato, a corruption probe exposing bribes between politicians and businessmen. Ike was implicated. Authorities accused him of paying $16.5 million to Rio Governor Sergio Cabral to secure contracts at the Maracana Stadium for the World Cup and Olympics. He was also charged with insider trading for dumping OGX shares before their collapse. In 2017, after weeks on Interpol's most wanted list, Batista was arrested at Rio's airport returning from New York. At Bangu, Batista's life changed dramatically. Gone were the luxury yachts and private jets. Instead, he shared a cell with 6 inmates, sleeping on a bug-infested mattress. Prison officials refused him a private cell. He lacked a university degree. Desperate for redemption, Batista consulted a psychic who advised him to throw $160,000 worth of gold coins into the ocean to cleanse his soul. But the gesture didn't stop prosecutors. In 2018, Batista was sentenced to 30 years for corruption and money laundering. In 2020, Batista struck a plea deal, 4 years under house arrest and repayment of $160 million. He agreed to expose other corrupt businessmen. Even now, Batista dreams of rebuilding his empire. Renewable energy, nanotechnology, a new gold mining venture, the plans keep coming, but Brazil's public is divided. Is Batista a visionary undone by bad luck? Or a symbol of elite corruption? Eike Batista's story isn't just about money. It's about ambition without limits, and the consequences of believing your own myth. As he once said, "I will be remembered as a man who built Brazil." Eike Batista was once hailed as the man who would make Brazil the next economic superpower. But in the end, his empire turned out to be a house of cards, propped up by fake oil reserves, overhyped mining ventures, and a toxic blend of arrogance and political favors. Investors lost billions. Thousands lost jobs. And Brazil was left with empty oil fields, decaying ships, and a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition. Today, Batista isn't in a cell. He's under house arrest, tweeting, writing books, and planning his comeback. But for millions of Brazilians, he's the man who symbolized a dream and turned it into a nightmare. But Batista's story isn't unique. Across the globe, we've seen powerful men gamble with entire economies and walk away nearly untouched. From Enron to Wirecard, from Tom Petters to Bernie Madoff, the game is always the same: greed, lies, collapse. Today, most remember him as the man who burned Brazil's faith in billionaires. So what do you think? Was Batista a victim of bad luck, or a predator who got caught? If you think Eike Batista's scandal was wild, wait till you watch how Bernie Madoff, another billionaire, engineered a $65 billion Ponzi scheme right under Wall Street's nose on my channel. This is The Ledger, where we expose the underworld of money, power, and corruption. Support this channel by liking our videos, drop your comment and share to your friends. Subscribe for more stories they don't want you to hear.